Hello and welcome to the Everyone Has a Story podcast. Why are we as individuals, as a society, why are we so consumed with happiness? You can't turn on your computer, you can't look anywhere without seeing a quote. The Buddha has been credited by saying, it's our very search for perfection outside ourselves that causes our suffering. Another person, Benjamin Disraeli, says, action may not always bring happiness, but there's no happiness without action. And then the great Judy Garland from The Wizard of Oz fame, she has said, always be the first-rate version of yourself instead of a second-rate version of someone else. So we can read about happiness at any moment's notice, but it seems to me that we get caught up in our events. Just like in our lives, we have so many things going on as a society, as individuals, we are rushing for everything. So one event leads into another event, and we're hoping that all of them lead to some type or some form of happiness. But I think as a society, as individuals, we get more enjoyment talking about happiness than actually being happy. And that's sad. To me, it's very, very sad. I'm going to be the first one to say that right now, I'm not as happy as I could be. Why is that? Well, we all know that I'm a Denver Bronco fan. And when the Denver Broncos in the offseason got Russell Wilson to be their starting quarterback, I was thinking, okay, I have one of the top-ranked defenses. I bring in someone like Russell Wilson, who actually beat the Denver Broncos in a Super Bowl. I thought my season was complete. I already had the Super Bowl ring being fitted for my finger before the season even started. I was a fan when Peyton Manning came over. And, did I have a few doubts on Peyton Manning? Yes, but he proved us wrong, and he sent us to, 2 Super Bowls, 3 AFC championship games. So I thought it was going to be another Peyton Manning version with Russell Wilson. Well, the season has started. We're 10 weeks into the season. I have 3 wins and 6 losses. I am not even thinking about the Super Bowl right now. Matter of fact, I'd rather cry in my beer than even think about having another cold beer during a Super Bowl or during a Denver Bronco game. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And my guest today is one of those rare individuals that no matter how many conversations I've had with her, and I've had quite a few conversations with Deb, I always feel happier after that. So I'm figuring, okay, if she can make me happy after just simple conversations, she's the person I want to talk to on my podcast about chasing happiness, because that's what we're going to talk about today is chasing happiness. And why do we do that as individuals and organizations? So with that being said, let me introduce you to Deb Church. Welcome, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you, Roger. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Deb is the founder of the Deb Church Coaching Consulting, and she's not just a coach, but she's a change agent. And I love that term, change agent. I always wanted to be a secret agent when I grew up, but I never really thought about being a change agent. So what is a change agent?
Well, I started this little niche because I wanted to help people impacted by change mind shifts and old thought patterns to navigate if they're going through a difficult time in their life, and let them know that there is something better on the other side. Change is hard, as you know, but staying stuck sucks. That's my little quote, staying stuck sucks. So, as you know, I think I told you, I went through a shitstorm in my life for about a decade. I had dealt with my parents' gambling addiction. Then my dad died. Then my mother died. My grandparents died within 42 days of each other. At my husband's office, we went through a highly publicized embezzlement case in our local town. And then after that, my 30-year marriage that I thought was rock solid ended in divorce. So all of those things happened in less than a decade. So all of those changes, I learned so many life lessons during that time period. And I know that the universe did not give me all of those changes to keep inside. So I wanted to help other people going through difficult changes themselves, to let them know that it's not always easy, but you can get on the other side and not only survive, but you can actually thrive and live a happy, healthy, successful, grounded life on the other side.
And you are a walking, breathing, real practical person that says that, you know what, you can still be happy after even all of that. And so
Absolutely.
I love that about you because you know what, a lot of people could have just curled up and just said, you know what, I'm done with this. And to this day, you have learned a lot from that, and you've now turned yourself into a person who is now being that change agent to help people see things from a different point of view.
Yes.
And you help them be happier and live a more happier lifestyle. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And so with that being said, Deb, let's first define what happiness is. Because, you know, as I just read to you, the three different quotes from the Buddha to Judy Garland to Benjamin Disraeli, I've talked to you about my own woes with the Denver Broncos. So, I mean, there's so many different definitions of happiness. So what is your definition? So that way the audience will be fully on board with you as we start talking about happiness.
Yeah, sure. Happiness is a choice. It's something that we choose every day, and it's truly an inside job. And I always tell people, you don't need to look any further than your own eyelashes to find happiness. And for me, it is that strong sense of self that just doesn't change regardless of outside circumstances. You know, when all of that crap was thrown at me, it was, you know, that strong sense of me, like, I know who I am. I feel good about myself. I wasn't happy with what was happening or what I was dealing with, but I was happy with me. I can deal with what is going on. I'm happy with me. So it's that contentment, and it's being grounded, and it's finding joy in the little things in life. And then everything else is like that cherry on top of the sundae. It's like bonus, baby, on top of the sundae. Anything else great is the big wow.
So that's a good start to the next question here. Why do you believe there are so many variations of happiness? We just described, I think I described 3 or 4. You just described a couple more. And it seems like every time that you celebrate some type of victory, there's always food involved and there's always a cherry on top. So why are there so many different variations to happiness?
Well, I think as a society, unfortunately, I call it the big lie. You know, the big lie that we've been told, you know, ever since we were young, is that happiness is something that we chase, that happiness is something outside of ourselves. You know, I'll be happy when, I'll be happy when I get that sweet sports car, or I'll be happy when I get that power job, or I'll be happy when I have that magic number in my bank account. And all of those things are awesome, but they enhance and enrich your life. They don't make you happy, because those things are something that you chase, and they're goals. So when you start placing your happiness on those external shiny objects, once you get one and you realize that you're not happy with yourself, you're going to constantly chase the next one, because as soon as you get that shiny object or whatever that is, that sweet sports car, the newer, better, shinier, newer model is already on the production line. So that just leads you down that path of constant disillusionment, constant disappointment, and you're just on that hamster wheel.
So let's try another example here. When you got onto the Zoom call this afternoon, you said hello to my engineer, Rick, and you said how beautiful he looked today. And now, is he going to be chasing that same compliment day after day from here on out?
Yes. Now, yeah. See, now he's hooked. He's hooked. Yes.
So how does that happen? You know, I mean, that's as Americans, we're all chasing that hook, right? You
Right.
get one and you want to have it over and over and over again. So
He's got that
all I can
high now.
all I can say is good luck, Rick, on that one. So so
Rick's on a high.
absolutely, absolutely. We'll probably never see Rick until he comes down after being on this high.
Right.
So with all of today's issues and needs that we are, subjected to, how does what you've just talked about on chasing happiness and why we've been taught from a very young age, how does that apply to today? Not yesterday and not, before COVID and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How does that apply today?
Well, I think today, the one great thing about today's society is that self-care has become really mainstream now. People have talked about the word for, maybe a couple decades, but now it's really become mainstream. And I think people, maybe if they don't do self-care or practice self-care, at least they've heard of self-care. And self-care really is, it can be something as simple as taking 10 minutes early in the morning and drinking your cup of coffee and having that quiet time to really recharge and reset and get in touch with yourself, before the craziness of the day happens. And then, of course, you can take it to the extreme and have, this elaborate exercise regimen. Whatever it is that just you're in touch with yourself, you have that healthy, balanced life. So it's not all caught up in social media, work, other social obligations, and whatever it is, you really need that time to process things in quiet and be with yourself.
Okay. So obviously my audience is the business community and all the individuals that make up the business community. And right now, post-COVID, there's just a lot of negative talk about the workplace and how the experience is not a great environment any longer and everything that you've heard.
Right.
So instead of talking about just how this applies to us as individuals, how does this apply to the workplace and the business community?
Well, I think, happy people make happy employees, obviously. So you bring that into the workplace. And anytime you get people together in a workplace, somebody has something going on in their life that they're going to bring in to the workplace. And I think it's just a matter of people getting to know each other in a way that is beyond just the work environment, getting to know them on a personal level and say, like, hey, what's going on with you? Because really, work is just one piece of a person's life. I know some people would disagree with that. Some people, identify with their job, identify with their career or whatever. But work is one place that you go. And then there's all the other issues that you have going on with your life. So that mood, that happiness, whatever, that sadness, whatever is going on is bound to come into the workplace. So just, I think, being respectful, just being aware of employees, your coworkers, your supervisors, who you're dealing with in the workplace. Everybody's got something going on.
Okay. So now let's go to specifically the business owner or the manager, the team leader. How can they be more aware of the happiness factor and helping these individuals who are coming to work who might have other issues on their mind in their personal lives that deep down they're not happy, but as a leader, they're still responsible for that employee during that time they're there, right?
Right.
And so how can this leader, this manager, this owner be more aware of the fact that maybe I have 10 employees, 5 are doing great right now, they're in a good space, but the other 5 are not so good?
Mm-hmm. You know, I think a lot of times it's just appreciation and value. When people feel appreciated and people feel valued, they just naturally want to do better, and they want to do their best for the common good, for for the for their employer. So, you know, we always say thank you, but it just becomes so overused that it just kind of loses its meaning, you know, when somebody says thank you. But if a manager says a personal thank you and says the person's name and gives them a reason why they are thankful for their work, you know, Jim, your work on the environmental project showed real ingenuity and is going to save us $50,000 this year. Can't tell you how much we appreciate that. Something like that is going to resonate with that employee, and the takeaway on that is going to make them feel so much more valued and appreciated than just, thanks, Jim.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, instead of allowing our society, the employees at that particular workplace, chase happiness, you're saying, why not be proactive and give them happiness? Let them receive happiness proactively from the institution, the organization, the business, as opposed to waiting for it while they're chasing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think everybody wants to feel valued and everybody wants to feel appreciated. And when you are, and you know that you are, it just makes you want to do better. It gives you that feel good feeling. And when you have that feel good feeling, you're going to want to work harder, more efficiently. You're more productive. You get along with everybody. You know, everybody's working for the common good. So if there's something that a manager can do to increase that level, like, why not? That's a win-win for everybody.
So I'm now going to talk about the true feeling that both parties will receive. I know that it's been proven that if someone gives as opposed to waiting to receive, there's incredible endorphins that are released, all these different emotions that are released because I got to give someone something that, you know, was authentically a gift from me. It might be recognition. It could be, you know, some type of gift, money, whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
And how does that become, you know, replicated? You know, if I'm the boss and I keep giving you compliments, I keep giving you recognition, you know, that's realized, that's real, you know, authentic recognition. How does that really work when it's now the employee and now they're talking to another coworker, or it might be a customer?
Well, I think, you know, if I was in those shoes, and maybe it's because my love language is words of affirmation, you know, if somebody said that to me, I would be pumped up and I'd be ready to go. And I'd be, you know, I did a great job and I was not only recognized for that, but I'm feeling like, okay, I want to do that again because I know that I did such a great job. So from an employee standpoint, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to work more efficiently, more productively. I want to do it again. And so my focus, I'm laser focused on my job so I can get there again, so I can do it again. And I want everybody around me to feel that energy. So I'm going to make sure that I'm, you know, spreading the positive vibes out there.
Okay. So I put you in a room with 10 different business owners and managers. Put your coaching hat on, and what advice would you give these guys these individuals, not always guys, give these individuals the right technique, the right process to start building that happiness, as opposed to waiting for your employees to have to keep chasing it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what we just talked about, a personalized recognition for a job well done. And that doesn't even take more than a minute, whether that comes in the form of an email or, however they send out a personal recognition. Just to let the person know, hey, that was an amazing job you did on, such and such a project, whatever that was. And also, everybody likes free food. So company lunches, breakfasts, whatever that is, and then social time, maybe you can do company retreats, or you can get people together after work, because when people socialize and do things like that together, it just builds community, and it lets people get together outside of work and talk about personal things, sports, etc., that is not so intimately involved with the daily grind.
So you just said the key term here. You're building a community within the community.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know that the more people you have in alignment, that are in synergy with everybody else, better things can happen. Just everybody, what is it? The sum of all parts are greater than the whole.
Right.
So from a business standpoint, and I'm talking pure practical standpoint, we always measure our output by results, So what is the real ROI to having individuals who don't have to come to work chasing happiness, but they come and they're receiving happiness?
Yeah. Well, when an employee wants to be there, truly wants to be there, and you're all working as a community for the common good, and you are more productive and more efficient, and you want to do well for that bottom line, productivity is going to increase. So however you measure that, whether it's in sales or products, increase. And then people are less likely to take off work. They're less likely to call in sick. They're less likely to search elsewhere for another job. So attrition rates decrease. And it's just that general feeling that things are running smoothly as the team.
So within this community, within the individuals that make up that community, where does being present really make its mark in happiness, especially at the workplace?
Yeah, I think being present is a mindset shift, if you will, because it does take some practice to stay present. And I think it's you need to make a conscious effort to stay present. But when you have certain victories, whether they're big or small, and no matter how you get them, whether you set a goal and you worked for that goal and you finally hit something, or whether just pure dumb luck or whatever, I always tell my clients, you celebrate those wins. You celebrate them here and now, because if you don't celebrate them here and now, you just become numb to your success, and then you just wait for the next one, and then that win was forgotten about. So I think it's important in order to stay present, that you find those little wins and you find learning opportunities along the way that you celebrate. And now when I say celebrate, that can be something as simple as, enjoying another cup of coffee, or some other way, taking an extra 10-minute walk or something like that. It doesn't have to be anything grandiose.
Something with a cherry on top.
That cherry on top. That's
Absolutely.
right.
I love
But it's
it.
important to recognize. It's important to recognize it.
And to actually have the celebration, cup of coffee, or
Absolutely.
get in that
Absolutely.
habit.
Yes.
And I just know that I deal with business owners and managers every day. And sometimes it's very, very difficult for them to muster up that necessary recognition and celebration.
Mm.
And like you said, we're talking seconds, just me making eye contact with you, patting you on the back, thanking you, maybe thanking you in private, maybe thanking you in front of your team. So you're getting the whole team's recognition, but just, thanking you. And then, maybe, like you said, bring in, a box of treats, maybe buy everybody a cup of coffee, but it's for the sole purpose of celebrating someone's win. It's not just out of the blue that only happens when it happens, but there's a reason for the happening. So many times I saw where everybody, all organizations back, 20, 15, 20 years ago, they always celebrated Casual Friday.
Yes.
Okay. And what I found out was that what Casual Friday meant was that the mind didn't have to work.
Oh.
And everybody, they came to work, they got to wear their jeans, they got to wear whatever. But what happened was it became commonplace. So that employer, that manager created a 4-day work week, and they couldn't understand why it wasn't working for them because there was no guidebook on what Casual Friday meant. People made up their own definitions of Casual Friday. And before you know it, all of a sudden that company who was maybe not producing at the highest level they could even went down, because all of a sudden Casual Friday meant, well, Casual Friday means I'm sitting on the lawn chair having whatever, as opposed to, just coming to work in casual dress, but still working just as hard, if not harder, because I'm in a more comfortable situation. And so, should there be a rule book for business owners and team leaders to say, okay, instead of having your employees come to work every day chasing happiness, this is what the rule book says you should do? Should it be that specific, or does that take away all the spontaneity and fun out of chasing happiness or giving happiness?
Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know if it has to be something that's actually written down, rule by rule by rule, because I think you're right. I think that does take away the spontaneity of it, and then it becomes, something that's kind of rote and it feels inauthentic. Yeah. And I would rather it be something that comes from the manager's heart, or that's something that they really feel that they want to give the employee, because the employee will feel that. Everybody knows when it's genuine and when it really comes from a place of genuine spirit. So I would rather it be sort of like a guideline. Here are some things that you could choose to do for your employees. Here are some ideas, and make it sort of a, broad-based general idea kind of thing, like a concept. Give them examples of how you could value and appreciate somebody, and then let them choose what feels right for them, because it has to feel genuine to them. Yep.
I love it. Well, Debra, I can't thank you enough for being my guest speaker today. And you do just make the conversation experience just that much more happier. So thank you for that. So in closing, give us a little bit of that final Debra Church inspiration to help us move forward.
Well, I think the biggest thing that I see when I talk to people, talking about happiness. And the biggest mistake that I see people making is placing happiness in someone else's pocket. You know, that comparison game that we talk about. And I always encourage people to try to get away from placing your happiness in someone else's pocket, because there's always going to be somebody smarter, richer, prettier, or whatever. And unless and until you can find that place within yourself that you can, you know, say to yourself, like, you rock. When you look in the mirror and you can say, you know, you rock, not someone else. That's where the happiness is. That's where the happiness is. That's when, you know, you're not chasing it, looking elsewhere. You've got it right there looking back at you in the mirror.
And my final words to you is, besides thank you, is you rock. So good job.
Thank you, Roger.
I love it. So how can the audience get in contact with you if they want to reach out and speak with you?
Right. I am on Instagram and LinkedIn at Deb Church Coaching. My website is www.debchurchcoaching.com. And my email is debchurchcoaching@gmail.com. I mean, at gmail.com. How about that?
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough again. And thank you for making every listener here, when they listen to the podcast, just smile and just feel a little bit sense of that happiness really is attainable. It just might not look the same as what we've been told when we were younger.
Well, you are welcome, and I appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. My podcast wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for my sponsors and my great supporters. So let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them. First of all, I want to thank Rebecca at Custom Bookkeeping and Accounting, delivering trustworthy bookkeeping services since 2003. Dave and Dara at Virtues Matter, making this world a much happier place to be with their Virtues card apps, coaching, and workshops. Stephen at Buller Accounting, giving business owners depth and insight to their numbers. Eric and his team at Ivy Cat Web Design, the real superheroes of web development and design. Jennifer and Jean at the Seavers Real Estate Team, serving Pierce and Kitsap counties with their home buying and selling needs. Maury at the Maury Method, the world's only brainwave entrainment engineer, helping everyone have more clarity, less stress, and overall better brain health. Priya at Pivot My Profit, helping individuals and businesses have better control of their finances and more money at the end of their day. Melissa at the Soul Vibe Energy High, the queen of the aha moments, helping individuals find those holes in their cups, repair the hole, and gain back their positive energy. And finally, Rick at West Sound Recording. You talk, they do all the rest. Thank you, Rick, for all your efforts with the production and editing of my podcast. My podcast wouldn't be the same if it wasn't for my sponsors and my great supporters. So let me take this opportunity to thank each and every one of them. First of all, I want to thank Rebecca at Custom Bookkeeping and Accounting, delivering trustworthy bookkeeping services since 2003. Dave and Dara at Virtues Matter, making this world a much happier place to be with their Virtues card apps, coaching, and workshops. Stephen at Buller Accounting, giving business owners depth and insight to their numbers. Eric and his team at Ivy Cat Web Design, the real superheroes of web development and design. Jennifer and Jean at the Seavers Real Estate Team, serving Pierce and Kitsap counties with their home buying and selling needs. Maury at the Maury Method, the world's only brainwave entrainment engineer, helping everyone have more clarity, less stress, and overall better brain health. Priya at Pivot My Profit, helping individuals and businesses have better control of their finances and more money at the end of their day. Melissa at the Soul Vibe Energy High, the queen of the aha moments, helping individuals find those holes in their cups, repair the hole, and gain back their positive energy. And finally, Rick at West Sound Recording. You talk, they do all the rest. Thank you, Rick, for all your efforts with the production and editing of my podcast.